I'm all for Yumi's journey here because we have to keep this book safe because I cannot imagine going up to the double digits of our ruinations. All right. Like, I can't keep up with the number of ruinations we've introduced already. Okay.
Welcome to Casuals of Runeterra, episode 99. I'm your host, Ryan, here with the other host, Edge.
Yes, only 99 episodes. All of our extracurricular stuff means nothing. This is the number we care about.
Yeah, I mean, technically this is like 120 something, but hey, we just put out so much content that we're like handicapping ourselves at this point, right? It's just like, you gotta let other people catch up.
That's right. Yeah, we're playing nice. That's all this is.
Playing ball, baby. But yeah, listen, housekeeping, that's never going to change. You can listen to us everywhere. You can send us an email at podcastcore@gmail.com. Visit us at podcastcore.com. And that's COR, by the way. If you haven't figured, I realized I haven't been saying COR, and I wonder if people are typing in podcast core and like, well, fuck it, can't find it.
Like spelling core correctly.
Yeah.
I like now that it's like you've discovered this, like after this episode, we're just going to explode because it's like, oh God, I was spelling it wrong this whole time.
I should probably try to buy that domain as well if it doesn't exist. Just
Oh my God.
it. But you can find us at podcastcore.com for all of our info, and that's where all of the platforms we appear on are there as well. It's an easy link. Leave a like, a review, a comment. We appreciate those. But the easiest way that's gotten us this far is word of mouth. So tell a friend to avoid having to be literate by listening to the Casuals of Runeterra podcast.
Don't do that. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Literacy is a good thing, Ryan. That's it. Scratch the whole episode. I won't be a part of this.
Fighting against literacy. Listen, let's get into this. Listen, Yuumi is not very exciting on the surface. Yuumi is kind of it's a whimsical story. It's a story about friendship, and one that leads one on a journey. And then we get some cameos from other places. So Yuumi kind of functions as a character, which as her support character. So if you play League of Legends, Yuumi's a support character that is very unique in the play style and kind of for games of that style really impressed people because she attaches herself to another player and you play as almost like an assist character on that player. And the way she behaves in the story, the way she behaves in the game of Runeterra as well is the same. So that's neat that they were able to translate it.
Yeah, I was about to point out that like it's the same way in the game of Runeterra as well, because when Yuumi was released, it introduced the new keyword attach, and so if anyone who's been playing Runeterra has run into at least one Pantheon deck with the Yuumi, and you just watch his Pantheon get to disgusting heights, but. You know, it is a thing where Yuumi being that kind of support play style, the story kind of matches. You know, it's the story's there. You know, we need to know more about Yuumi, but it's kind of funny because we kind of learn more about Nora than anything else in Yuumi's story. But you know, like once we get past that, that's when we get into more of the meat because it's like Yuumi can go anywhere, so. It's important to know this core detail about Yuumi so that we can enjoy stories later on. But let's take a look at a couple cards because, this is kind of a spoiler to the cards too. It was slim pickings for some of these, most specifically for the spells. And anyone who's played a lot of Yuumi in the Legends of Runeterra card game will know that the spells, you're not really picking Yuumi synergistic cards there. You're picking because it's the followers is where it's at for the play style. And the spell that I've got today is going to be the Prowling Projectile. So this is a 2-mana fast spell, and it has grant an ally +1/+0 and deal 1 damage to an enemy. Really, in reality, this is one of those spells that like you really only see play in Yuumi decks, and it's not because it works well with Yuumi, it's because it's a Yuumi signature spell. And so it's like, oh, I already have a Yuumi in play. Perfect. Prowling projectile. That said, like the word grant is important here. So this isn't just like a one-time combat trick. So you don't feel too bad about having to shuffle a Yuumi back into your deck because you're getting that boosted damage permanently. But otherwise, you'd rather have Pokey Stick in hand because at least Pokey Stick draw, kind of cantrips itself. But the the flavor text on this is really just going to give you an insight into Yuumi as a character before we get into her story, because it is just a direct quote from Yuumi, and it's just zoom. And all cat owners know that the zoomies are real.
Yeah, Yumi is an interesting character. I think she has the most personality in Legends of Runeterra, which makes sense just how they, or not Legends of Runeterra, but actually the story elements, right? We'll get to see her adventurous nature that comes out, and then we get to talk about the Book of Threshold holds.
Yeah.
But
And yeah, and speaking of character, like it's going to take us to our follower because a lot of the characters are the side, like the NPCs, if you will, surrounding Yumi. They have a lot of character themselves too. So the follower that I picked today is going to be the Quick Quill. All right, so Quick Quill is a 2 mana 1/1 with quick attack and attach. Now, if we I don't think I've like spelled out attach yet, but attach units are followers that you can play for their mana cost onto an already active follower. So you can put them on a follower that's in play, and that follower will get the keywords and stats from the attached unit. And when that follower dies or leaves play, you will recall the attached unit. Um, I I'm actually a big fan of the way they've worked attach into this game because for me personally, I come mostly from Magic the Gathering, and every equipment and aura deck out there knows that the problem with those decks is that removal spells are basically a 2-for-1 in your opponent's favor, and that's at best, because worst case scenario you get to like 3 or 4-for-1 scenarios, and like once that happens you're so far behind. Whereas with this one, with the attached units, they come back to your hand, so you don't get that 2-for-1 really bad feeling. So I do like that design from a card player standpoint. And with this one, giving a unit quick attack, like that's nothing to scoff at. Like for 2 mana, like a permanent +1/+1 and quick attack buff is not bad.
yeah, usually quick attack would require you to be, a champion.
That's true. You could play this onto non-champions and make them feel like champions. Like, eat your heart out, Lucian. But now, of course, for us, I love the app. I love the flavor text on this card so much because, again, like this story is definitely a bit more fun, and this kind of spells out the fun because it is a picture of a very angry looking scroll,
Yeah.
and the flavor text on it is spelling out. So the scroll is writing this down. And so it spells out, "Where's Nora?" So it's a direct quote from the Mouse Steward, and so it's WHE. Where's Nora? Oh dear, what should I tell it? And it's like, and that just like perfectly sums up like all of the characters here. Like they're all like hyper. They're all very hyperactive. They're very outgoing characters. They have tons of personalities, even if that personality is one dimensional, which makes for entertaining content as far as just like the characters. These are characters that you want to watch and you want to learn more about. So when we talk about that, the Yumi story is kind of, you know, middle of the road. It's more that we don't have enough of the content there. Like the characters, we got them. We got like some fun characters. We just need
Yeah.
more content.
Yeah, and speaking of content, let's get right into it. So the title of this episode is The Jungle Book. And as we
Oh,
mentioned, we're talking about Yuumi here, even though there will be good mentions of Nora, who Nora is an interesting character because she doesn't exist in the game of League of Legends yet. She does exist in Legends of Runeterra as a champion card, but she doesn't have any specific lore yet. And we'll explain why. So with Yuumi, we start in the outlands of Bandle City. So we're back in Bandle City. Although, Hetch may like that we're not dealing directly with a Yordle here. It's more
thank God.
indirect since Yuumi is a cat, a magical being of Bandle City.
Yeah, I will take a cat over a Yordle any day, any day of the week.
And Yuumi is the protector of her owner, Nora. As I mentioned, Nora is in Legends of Runeterra, but outside of that, you won't really see her yet. They're probably planning on doing more in the future, maybe an event of some sort. But Yuumi was born with magical powers, and she uses these to assist Nora during their adventures. And how do they do these adventures? So I wanted to make a note real quick to remind you guys, we have plenty of Bandle City episodes. I'll give you more insight into the world or the part of Bandle City because it is another realm. And with this realm, the portals to travel between Bandle City and Runeterra occur almost randomly, and some of them have specific spots, but those spots are finicky. And the caveat here is that Nora possesses the Book of Thresholds, and this allows her to travel to anywhere depicted in its pages. So they travel on a whim. Nora opens the book, and her and Yuumi dive into it to the glowing pages, and they appear in that place. And then the book soon after will reappear behind them in this new location. And that's how they use that's their way of travel. That's their way of motive at the moment.
And this is a very big deal because for the most part, like the way and we've discussed this a lot in our other Yordle episodes, like the Bandle City or like the Bandle region, it is constantly in flux. So even these like other Yordles, beings that were essentially born and raised in Bandle City, they don't have a consistent means of getting in and out into the material realm. But Nora does, and specifically through the book. And this is the only instance that we have of a consistent in and out. And the other Yordles, like Poppy, is probably like the easiest one to point out, where they know where the portals are, but they don't know if the portal is going to be open when they get there. They don't really know like if the portal's going to open, or they'll know how the portal opens, but they don't know if that's going to happen. Like it doesn't happen every time. Whereas for Nora, all of these things are out the window, and that's what makes like this a very important story as far as to the region of Bandle City as a whole. But yeah, we'll dive into the rest of the story
Yeah.
so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because we are living in a material realm, and I'm just a
I'm a
material book.
material Yuumi. You went with the book. I went with
Listen,
Yuumi.
we're aging ourselves again. Oh no.
Oh God, why are we
All
like
right.
this?
So one night, Yuumi returns home to their home, and she finds Nora's missing. And this is unusual because anything they do together, right? I mean, Yumi's a support character. So in a panic, she rushes over to Nora's desk and notices that the book is open as usual, but there are pages torn out of it. That's unusual. And she doesn't really speak a language of sorts. So she just yells out book. And the book begins wiggling and communicating with Nora, or with Yuumi, sorry, in a sort of telepathic way, despite being unable to speak. It's like it's conveying how it feels to Yuumi directly. And this is new for Yuumi because mainly Nora interacts with the book. And Yuumi discovers that Nora had traveled to some place through the book, but it was so perilous that as she traveled there, the portals in which the book would follow were destroyed as she traveled, therefore represented as these pages being torn out. And this feels like some antics you would see Zillion go through.
Yeah, this is straight up like a Zillion like clown fiesta kind of thing. Eh,
Zillion
but
Clown Fiesta, another good Midwest band name.
I oh, you hey, not a no, it's not because I took it. It's mine. That's not a good name for anyone else. But no, like, these are, like, the antics that, like, like, that Zillion would go through, but it's also very interesting to see that because we do get to learn here that, like, Nora has the means of kinda tampering with these portals. Um, like, because, before this, we just know that it's like the book is how they're able to travel as much as they do and consistently. But, um, like, is it something as simple as, like Nora just like ripping out a page like on her way through the portal and being like, "Oh, well, no," or does Nora have like the abilities of interacting with the portals that surround all of the realm of Runeterra? And is that the way that she was able to do that? And the like these are going to be interesting questions that need to be answered at some point, especially when the more that we get to dive into like the world of Arcane, because Arcane, the whole buildup of Jace and his prominence in Piltover is off of the ability of making the hex gates, which are essentially portals. So if there's someone out there who can like consistently manipulate them, Piltovians are gonna want that. Like they're gonna want that. So it's like it's very interesting of like, okay, like how did these pages come out and everything. But that is more of a story of like hopefully we get to learn more about Nora. Because right now it's just Yuumi being like, okay, well, I gotta find my carry. Where did my carry go? I am I am support. I need to find my carry. And Book being like, bet, I'll help you find her.
Yeah. So, and Yumi now becomes, she has a mission, right? A mission without Nora, which is to find Nora, and she'll do so using the powers of the book. So, although the pages that Nora traveled through are lost, Yumi can use the other areas around them in those other pages to go to those locations and help search because she has like Nora's scent. And there's a magical connection between her, Nora, and the book. So they can use that as they get closer to kind of use it as a beacon, right? And Yumi becomes the new keeper of the book, and she vows, okay, my goal is to find Nora and keep it out of the clutches, as Hetch mentioned, of anyone else with ill intent. Because if the book falls into the wrong hands, the wielder would have unfettered access to Bandle City. And if you've listened to like our Tristana episodes and our Ziggs episodes, how they are essentially like their own militias to prevent anything coming in the Bandle City with ill intent, which there's historical evidence of people finding their way there. And then, their eyes kind of going wide as, oh, opportunity. There's oil in these hills. Um, that's what they want to avoid.
America.
And we've had enough cataclysmic events in Runeterra. Let's try to keep Bandle City as one hopeful area
I
for
don't want to
now.
I'm all for Yumi's journey here because we have to keep this book safe because I cannot imagine going up to the double digits of our ruinations. All right, like I can't keep up with the number of ruinations we've introduced already. Okay, so we don't need more. Now I do like as far as when we get into like the end of the bio here because it's like yeah, like we have to go and find Nora and we can't let the book fall into the wrong hands. It's like, yes, these are very important points. And then it starts off like describing some of this journey that they go on, and the journey is just book doing its best to find Nora, while Yuumi reminds everybody that Yumi's a cat.
Yeah, she's constantly referencing how she would rather just play because that's what she's used to. But Book kind of plays the straight guy in this comedy and is constantly keeping her on track of like, no, we're here to find Nora, and also I'm a very valuable thing. Do not let me get torn up, ruined, etc. And as they're seeking out Nora on this journey, this is where we start to get some of our crossover. So one of the first and one of her favorite that she comes into contact with is the big lovable Braum. Listen to our Braum episode. This is post when he gets the door. So now he has the door as the shield. And there was one instance where she was helping him during a hailstorm that was created by some snow spirits. And then he thanked her with fish. And that put him at the top of the list of her goats.
Yep. The and then we also get a glimpse of tracking down Nora's scent uh, into a catacomb under Shurima, and the scent leads to a broken piece of blue pottery that looked like one of Nora's teapots. But before Yumi in the book can, try to investigate further into what happened to the teapot or to Nora, they get attacked by some beast that is burrowing under the sands, and they
Hmm.
barely escape from there. Something tells me that it was purple in nature.
And had a fat dumpy.
Like they just see this creature burst out from the sands, and then it's the core logo, podcast core logo on the butt. Dumpy seal of approval. Bam! We gotta go.
So that brings it to the end. That's Yumi and Book, and they continue their endless journey, searching for Nora everywhere they can, picking up scents and meet new friends along the way. So let's talk about the card. As Hetch mentioned,
Match. Match. Oh, I don't know how to feel about this. Continue.
Match. So as Hetch mentioned, Yumi is a 3-cost 2/2, and she has attach, which is that keyword she introduced. At round start, you grant the unit I'm attached to +1/+1. Otherwise, grant me +1/+1 instead. And to level up, I or the unit I'm attached to have attacked 3+ times.
Yeah. I enjoy cards like this, and it's a very easy reason as to why I enjoy cards like this. Infinite scaling. If you and your opponent both agree to just pass turn over and over again until like the servers crash, Yumi's gonna get bigger every time. I
Yep.
love stuff like this.
It cooks itself. Set it and
Yep.
forget it.
Set it and forget it. And then like Yumi's level up is that I or the unit I'm attached to have attacked 3+ times. Um, so leveling up Yumi is actually kind of hard because there's a lot of ways as far as preventing the unit from attacking, whether it be by having like a decent blocker out, having a stun, or just having kill spells. And it's not that um like if you have a way, like even if it's attached to a unit, Yumi's going to go back to hand, but that means that the counter, starts over again.
Yeah.
So, like I think that like Yumi's in a very healthy place as far as like the level up, because once Yumi's leveled up, it is 3/3 with spell shield
Yeah.
and still have the same effect of like the round start getting the +1/+1, and adding that spell shield on top. Yeah, that's Yumi was already going to be a big threat because infinite scaling. Now you're going to have to 2-for-1
Yep.
yourself to get rid of the Yumi if Yumi flips.
She's a
So
great value card.
oh yeah, like an absolutely great value card. But again, just like in the game of League of Legends, you don't really want to be playing Yumi by herself. Like it playing Yumi by herself in Runeterra is definitely a lot better than in League of Legends.
Yeah.
Uh,
Jungle
but
Yumi.
he's let's go. Let's go. Let's queue up right now. Oh god, there's so many League of Legends players out there right now that just like had a shiver go down their spine and just like,
But
what's
cool
my
thing
jungler
is,
doing this game? Oh.
as always, the point we like to focus on though is that the attached function being how they represent her fits properly across the lore, and also the spell shield makes sense, as we'll talk about in the story after this episode. And she was played a lot with, as Hetch foreshadowed in some future episodes, Pantheon. But the story here is still reflected. We have the quote on the first side of the card that says, Yumi did have to admit that for all of her fussing, she did like book quite a lot. She liked its smell, she liked its illustrations, she even liked jumping through its portals, but nothing was as good as just having Nora back home safe and sound. Which that's kind of sad, right? When it flips, though, it's a whole different energy where it says, yet with each new portal came new adventures, and with each new adventure came a chance to make new friends. It's like, does Yuumi have BPD?
No, Yuumi does not have BPD. All cats have BPD. Like, that's the difference, all right? Like, that's the determining factor. This is just Yumi's just a representation of all cats here.
That's a good point.
But I do like the front side of the card because the quote there, because that is the driving force. Like they and when we dive into the next story, we'll even kind of spell out more that it's like Book and Yuumi on paper don't get along well, but they become very good friends, and it's because they're bonded by the journey of finding Nora.
Yeah.
So like that front side is very important because it's like, yeah, no, I like. It's like I like what's going on, and the backside to an extent too is like I'm having adventures, I'm meeting new friends, I'm having a good time, but I can't forget the goal, and the goal is to bring Nora home, finding Private Nora.
And to wrap this up, so that's pretty much the end of the Yuumi stuff. But like we said, Yumi's story is not a lot. It's very simple, it's straightforward. The goal here is to make her feel like a main character. And we do get some growth here as she's going on these adventures because, being with Nora so much, you don't get to meet a lot of new people. So she's forced outside of her bubble, quote unquote, to interact with these new beings, and she's gaining some worldliness. She's traveling. It's a freeing moment, although there's some sadness because she wants to know where Nora is. One part I really like is the representation of how Nora got lost. Like the concept of going to a place so, tragic or perilous that as you're traveling, the portals behind you are getting destroyed is almost like a Doctor Strange-esque adventure, which is really cool to visualize. So that scene like really sticks out to me.
Yeah, I like the Doctor Strange look at it because again, like I get the vibe that it was like Nora is the one destroying the portals because like Nora is like jumping through it and Nora's looking at it and like, oh shit, and it's just like, okay, I can't let this get anywhere near Bandle
She's
City.
turning the pages. So, that's super cool.
So she's like the one destroying the portals, but again, it's more of a thing of like, is it as simple as just tearing a piece of paper out of a book, or is there something deeper that goes on there? Like that's a question that is in my mind that we don't have the answers to.
Only Zillion has the answer, and he's currently in between times. So
he's just disco dancing in between times too. Like he's just Killian the Zillion, just going off, having the time of his life, like of his many lives. Like
but with that, I love how our number one theory for like Arcane is like, where the fuck is Zillion? Because we know he's there.
Yep. He's everywhere. Like, where is Waldo?
He's every when.
Oh, shut up. In the show. In the episode.
Yeah, we're done. It's late. Etch is hungry. We appreciate it as always. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with the next episode, which will be episode 100 symbolically. Get ready for it.
I hate it here. All right. Take care, everybody.